Okay, so everything in the universe has a vibration. So this pen right here has a vibration. This has a vibration. Everything you use, everything you see, everything you touch has a vibration. So what does this have to do with the law of vibration? The universal law of vibration says that everything that has a like vibration, okay, will gather or will stay in the same vibration. So things that look solid, even rocks and things, they all have vibrations. So you see a lot of healing people. A lot of people when they do healing, they use crystals. Okay, so like vibrations attract like vibrations. How does that work on a human being level? Well, thoughts have vibrations. Okay, emotions have vibrations. When you put out an emotion, you're putting out a vibration. So that's why people say, oh, I like his vibe, or I like her vibe, or she has a good vibe, or I can't hang with that vibe, those kinds of things, right? Now, the law of vibration, it's very simple to get used to, the principle of it anyway. Um, and the law of vibration includes people, thoughts, emotions, objects, sound, light. Everything has a vibration. Okay. Now, how do you raise a vibration? Well, in a human being, it's very easy to, raise a vibration. Okay, so to raise a vibration, the fastest way is through the human voice, because the human voice creates a profound vibration that triggers your neurotransmitters. When your neurotransmitters are triggered, okay, they produce oxytocin and endorphins. They increase your GABA levels. They also decrease your cortisol levels. Okay. As a result, you begin to calm. When you begin to calm, your vibration raises. Okay. So we can say it this way. Let's say you're not calm. Let's say you're frustrated. All of the lower vibrations, anxiety, fear, guilt, shame, frustration, hesitation, procrastination, those things, those are all low vibrational activities or emotions. Okay. Now, if you look at higher vibrational feelings and emotions, you're talking about happiness, you're talking about joy, you're talking about satisfaction, you're talking about love, and at the very highest is love. So how do we change this? Well, you can change vibrations with various ways. So one is gratitude. Okay, I can't tell you specifically how it works. I could just tell you when I started doing it back in 2007, like everything changed. Everything changed. Okay, gratitude just expresses that you appreciate what is, and when you appreciate what is, more comes. Okay, your movement, your dancing, your exercising, your walking, like all of these things increase vibration. Okay, so I'll give you a very interesting scenario. So a month ago, I have this condition on my foot, and I was unable to do my walks and my runs and go to the gym, and everything started to slow down. Why? Because my vibration started to lower. Okay, so what happens then? Well, frustration happens. What happens after that? Well, triggers happen quickly, more quickly. Okay, so when you're exercising, when you're at the gym, you are raising your vibration. When you are walking, when you are doing any kind of physical activity, you are raising your vibration. Okay, positive thoughts, you can raise your vibrations. So what does that entail? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, they're all part of it. But the fastest way is through the human voice. When your neurotransmitters begin to fire and you begin to get flooded with endorphins and oxytocin, okay, so endorphins are the feel-good hormones, oxytocin are the bonding hormones, then your vibration begins to raise. Why? Because you begin to quiet in here. You begin to calm in here. We call that confidence. confidence is at the core of my training. So, when I do my professionals, right, my clients are all professional people. I'm a high performance coach, so I call them high performance professionals because that's what we achieve in them is high performance. And, we notice that when you become clear, right, you achieve flow state. Okay, flow state is when everything just naturally flows. Okay. And what we do, and this might work for you, what we do is we have them flow for 1 hour at work. The first hour at work, we have them flow. So uninterrupted flow means that you're working on something for 1 hour without any interruptions. And you achieve flow state. In 1 hour, you can do about 2.5 hours worth of work in flow state. So let's get back to the law of vibration. So what you think sends out a vibration. What you feel sends out a vibration. What's the biggest vibration? The biggest vibration comes from your heart. You ever think about something and it makes you excited? And then your heart starts pounding. You can feel your heart pounding because whatever you're thinking about makes you excited. That's a good indication. So when your heart is active because you've thought of something, it's a good indication that you're onto the right thing. Whether it's a thing you're thinking about, whether it's a piece of cake you're thinking about, whether it's a person you're thinking about, an activity you're thinking about, whatever you're thinking about, that's a good indication. So how does this work? Well, let's say, for example, you're in a low vibration because something unfortunate happened. Let's say you have to pull yourself to a higher vibration. How do you do that? Well, like anything else in life, you start small. Maybe put on some pleasant music you like. One of my favorite things is like, okay, time out. Put on some music, take time to allow the feeling to disappear. Feelings and thoughts do not become a part of you unless you attach to it, unless you engage. Okay? If you engage with a feeling, if you engage with a thought, you will become it. You can observe thoughts. You can observe emotions. And you can allow them to pass. That's the meditation part. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. When you're in meditation, or let's say it another way, when you're just being still with your eyes closed, okay, you don't have to utter any kind of phrase that you don't understand, or you don't have to be an Indian yogi, okay, but you have to be still. When you are still, you will know. When you are still, this morning I had my meditation, and I just allowed the thoughts to drift by. Now, a lot of people cannot sit still because of the stimulus in our society, because we have these. So we're scrolling. We're used to stimuli. Always. Okay? Everything. Because your thoughts get stimulated. Okay? Your being gets stimulated. So now it's difficult. It's difficult to be still. It's difficult to just settle. It's difficult to just be. Right? Okay. So when this happens, say thank you. Just sit there. Sit there with your eyes closed and say thank you. When you get the urge to get up, you might get the thought like, wow, I'm wasting time. I could be doing laundry. I'm wasting time. I could be washing dishes. I'm wasting time. I could be doing my homework. I'm I'm wasting time. I could be, right? Insert whatever right there. Say thank you. When you say thank you, you're going to feel a calm come over your body. When you say thank you, it will allow you to be still. When you say thank you, it will allow you to be. So just sit, say thank you. You don't need to meditate for a long time. Okay? 10 minutes. That's a big job. Try 5 minutes first. Okay? 5 minutes. Set your timer on your phone for 5 minutes. Preferably chimes so you don't jolt out of your meditation. Okay, you don't want to do that. That's not good. That just represents more stimulus. Okay, so you want to ease out of your meditation, or out of your stillness, or out of your being. Just be. Just be. Too many people are doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. They jump from one thing to another, one thing to another. Then they cannot collect their thoughts. Then they lose focus. Then they lose concentration. But when you just be, you begin to get divine information. Or we can say divine messages or divine thoughts. And who is this coming from? Well, depends on what you believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. But I can tell you when you do this, you get answers. So let me run the scenario by you again. Okay, you're driving down the street, you get that urge to turn right. And you go, no, because you have free will, you can do what you want. And you say, no, you dismiss that. You dismiss that urge. And you continue down the street and you get stuck in a traffic jam and you say, I knew I should have turned over there, because you did know. You did know. So many other times you get that feeling that you should do this. And then you say, no, that's okay. And then something happens. Coincidence? No. There is only the conscious, the subconscious, and superconscious. That's it. What you're doing is you're dismissing the superconscious, or consciousness, or God, divinity. God lives in here. The kingdom is within. The kingdom is not out there. The kingdom is not up there. People always point, you get that finger, right? They go like that. God is not up there. God is in here. There is no out there. The only thing out there is nature and other things from someone else is in here. That's all that's out there. All of your power, all of your answers are in here, because this is where God lives. So when you're still, you start receiving guidance. If you trust that guidance more, you'll make better decisions. Better decisions equal better results. But first you have to learn to be still. Now, I don't like to use the word self-discipline too much because it has a negative connotation to it. But it is self-discipline. Self-discipline just means you say to yourself, you're going to sit here for 5 minutes. That's it. I'm going to wait and be patient until that alarm goes off for 5 minutes. Okay. Now, the law of vibration says that whatever is on the same vibration will resonate with each other. Look at your friends. Look at your family members, the ones you like, the ones you really like. Okay. How do you feel about them? That will give you a good indication of the vibration. Can you raise your vibration? Absolutely. Yep. Gratitude, movement, positive thought, meditation, being still. Okay, listening to good music. I see people that listen to angry music. Guess what? They get angry like that. At the drop of a hat, they're angry. Why? Because of the vibration. It's in their vibration. It's in the music. So your subconscious dictates what happens. If you have angry music in your subconscious has learned to listen to angry music. Angry music will make you happy if that's your program. Now, does it have a good purpose? I suppose. Does that good purpose last a long time? No. It's temporary. So when you get angry, is it good to express it? Yeah, it's good to get it out. Don't hold anger inside. When you hold anger or negative vibrations inside and you don't let it out, the body will act out in a different way. Unresolved anger can make you sick. Unresolved anger causes problems. Unresolved anger has a vibration. The law of attraction is like attracts like. The law of vibration is that everything on the same frequency resonates. If you take a tuning fork, and let's say it's 440 hertz, and you have another tuning fork that's 440, and you ring one, the other one will vibrate. That's the law of vibration. It's scientific. How does it apply to people? People align in vibration. So the people that love drama, right? You see a lot of them congregate because it's become their fun. It's become something that they're used to. Is anything wrong with that? It's not necessarily wrong. It's just the way it is. What's the result? Well, the result is the same engagement, going in a circle, the merry-go-round, the mouse wheel, the same thing over and over and over and over and over. Does anything positive become accomplished? No. Not really. Misery loves company. Like attracts like. It's the same thing with vibration. So positive people resonate. You ever been in a room with rich people? With really rich people? They don't talk about the same things that poor people talk about. You put a bunch of poor people in the room, hell, they'll discuss how hard life is, the struggle is real, the bills are insurmountable, that kind of thing. You have a conversation with rich people, they'll talk about what stocks are going up, what they're going to invest in next, what they're doing with their companies, or what they're doing with their investments, or what they're doing with their families, or where they're going to go on trips, or what they're going to do, what their plans are. It's a very different kind of conversation, but they're two very different frequencies. I'm just using this for a comparison. I'm not suggesting that all rich people are positive. I know a lot of rich people that are negative people. Okay. I know a lot of rich people that are mean people, and I know a lot of poor people that are very nice people, good people. But your subconscious is the key. Your subconscious is going to dictate what happens. So if you look at the tree again, okay, we always talk about that tree. The roots of the tree are your subconscious patterns, your subconscious programming, your core beliefs. Can you change your core beliefs? Oh yeah, easy. Just use one of these first. Start with this. I am so happy and grateful now that. What do you want to put there? It's up to you. This is why they say the pen is more powerful than the sword. It's because this affects your subconscious. That's why it's more powerful than the sword. Because it can change things. If you want to call it manifestation, you want to call it subconscious achievement, subconscious programming, you want to call it goal setting, accomplishing goals. It's the same thing. But human beings have the power to do this. You're a co-creator with the divine. The divine meaning whatever you believe in, whatever your higher power is. So the pen is more powerful than the sword. So can you write yourself into a new vibration? Eventually. But the fastest way is through your voice. I raise people's vibrations every week, every single week, because it sets them free. The prison is here. The prison is here. But when you dump oxytocin and endorphins into this prison, it doesn't become a prison anymore. It begins to open like this. It begins to open like this. What happens when a human being opens? They become receptive. They can receive. Some people don't receive because they're like this. It's not necessarily introverted. It's closed off. You can be an extrovert and be like this. You can be like that and be an extrovert at the same time. All of my executives are introverts, all of them. Introverts run the world. But when they become like this, the magic happens. Because the law of vibration always has the same frequency resonating with the other same frequency. So in other words, if you have a couple, it could be a husband and wife, it could be a boyfriend and a girlfriend, it could be what they call partners nowadays. If one of them is on this vibration and the other one is here, and this one does not raise to this one, or maybe this one doesn't lower to this one, eventually these two are going to go like that. They're going to grow apart. They're going to grow apart because they're not growing together. Or let's say it another way. They're going to grow apart because they're on a different vibration. It's very scientific. It's very scientific. So, how do you stay on the same vibration with somebody? It's very easy. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. I have a couple that's growing together and becoming stronger and stronger as a couple because their vibration is raising together like this, like that. when you become at ease in here, so you're talking about the absence of overthinking, the absence of anxiety, the absence of guilt, the absence of procrastination, the absence of fear. Now you're receptive. Now you can receive. Fear is like an invisible barrier. It's a vibration. Fear is the lowest vibration. And when there's fear, it's like a force field that stays here. And your goodness is trying to get to you, and it cannot because there's something fearful here. Only doubt and fear can keep you from your manifestation. Or let's say it another way, only doubt and fear can keep you from receiving either what you want or what is yours. Because once this barrier comes down, you can receive. This is in all of the holy books. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in the Torah. It's in the Bible. It's in the Quran. It's in the Vedas. So if you can keep a human being in fear, and this is why bullying is really, really wrong at the most fundamental level, because if you can keep a person in fear, you can push them off their life path. If their life path is supposed to be here, if you keep them in fear, you can push them over here. If you keep them in fear, you can push them over here. That includes fear-based religions. Religions that tell you, well, if you don't do this, you're gonna go to hell. You're going to burn. And then now you're over here. Can you achieve perfect alignment that way? No, not with fear. Not with doubt, not with fear. If you can keep a human being in fear, if you can keep a human being in doubt, gaslighting, if you keep that, if you keep it for a regular, on a regular basis and keep doing that to a human being on a regular basis, yes, you can push them off like this. And now they're off kilter, what they call off kilter. They're not on their proper life path. So what's the result of bullying? Well, they're not reaching their full potential because they're afraid. The natural state is like this. Your life path unfolds for you. Life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. When you're doubtful, this process slows down. Sometimes when fear sets in, it stops. Now, as far as the voice goes, an interesting point is when you're raising your vibrations through the voice, it's like a human being, right? It's being tuned the same way you tune an instrument, through their voice, with frequency, with pitch, the same way, the same exact way. So what happens? Well, the neurotransmitters start firing oxytocin and endorphins. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. Endorphins is the feel-good hormone. What happens when you feel good? Your vibrations raise. What happens when you feel bad? Your vibration lowers. Okay. So you should get out of feeling bad as fast as possible. so that everything's good again. Watch when money goes out, when money starts going out, when jobs start slowing down, when businesses start, getting slow. The energy level is down. The energy level is low. How do you fix it? You ramp up the energy. You tune a human being the same way you tune an instrument, through their voice. When the oxytocin and endorphins start working, start flooding the brain, and you do repeat cycles of this, like once a week for an hour, what happens? You get clear. What happens when you're clear here? There's no prison. The prison is the overthinking. The prison is your mind attacking you. The prison is when you are alone with your thoughts, when your mind is not directed on something, on purpose, on a purpose, for a purpose. What happens? Your mind will attack you. Your mind will say, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And then it starts to grow the picture bigger. Your imagination starts to get bigger and bigger. And then what do you find out? You find out, wow, when you finally get to the result, you go, wow, I wasted all that time like conceptualizing. I wasted all that time thinking it was going to be this big, this big, this big. And then when I got to the actual thing, it was only this big. And my mind made it that big because your mind was attacking you, because you have an imagination, because you can think. There, so you are. So when you are thinking in that way, you are placing yourself in that state. How do you avoid that? Say stop. Say stop or say no. The same way you train a puppy, you train your mind. The first step is to accept what's being thought. The second thing is to analyze what's being thought and ask the question, do I want this? Is this something good for me? If the answer is no, observe the thought and allow it to pass. When you start saying, I am sad, I am angry, I'm feeling bad, now you have engaged with the thought. Now you have engaged with the emotion. Emotion begins in thought. What happens when you allow emotions to go by? They go by. And sometimes you feel a tingling in your body depending on what the emotion is. And you allow it to pass. In 90 seconds, it will pass. Just wait for 90 seconds. When you get an impulse, 90 seconds is all you need to get over an impulse. I don't care what it is. Could be the impulse to eat. Could be the impulse to dance. It could be, it doesn't have to be a bad thing is what I'm saying. Good or bad. Okay, but allow it to pass. So when you meditate, it's the process of observing and allowing. Observing what it is, deciding if you want to be a part of it or not, and then allowing it to pass. Without judgment. Judgment is taking action on something. If you receive a thought and you pronounce judgment on it, you have joined. Same thing with an emotion. So how do you just allow these things to just flow by you? You have to be still. 10 minutes a day. How long does this take? 63 days. 63 days. Back in 2007 when I started all of this, I was like, 63 days? I gotta do this for 63 days? But here's the trick. You do it for the first day. Then you ask yourself, how did that feel? Was it that difficult? The answer is going to be no. It's not difficult to sit still for 10 minutes a day with your eyes closed. So your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses, and all of your senses will sharpen as you do this. So you do it the second day. Then the question is, was this hard today? The answer is no. Was it hard yesterday? The answer is no. So now you continue to the third day, and the third day becomes a week becomes a month becomes 2 months, and then you have 3 more days. In 63 days, your awareness will sharpen, your vibration will raise, and you won't be tugged into things. You know, when you get that gut reaction to get tugged into something. When you feel compelled to join. You don't have to join. You don't have to join anything. Your blessings will come to you regardless. Your blessings does not depend on anyone else. Anything else. Anything out here. It just depends on everything in here. That's all. You don't need to join a club to get ahead. You don't need to belong to the clique to get ahead. You don't need to play political games to get ahead. You have your own blessings. And one day you'll see that. You'll see, wow, I did this just by focus. So yesterday we talked about it. When you apply your focus to something, or let's say it another way, when you give something your attention, you are paying attention. Paying attention is a price you are paying. Because now you are paying part of your life. And your life is your time. Now you have given your time to a particular object, thing, or person. So you pay attention. Now what do you add to that? Intention. Intention requires emotion. So intention intensifies thoughts. Intention puts action into thoughts. Attention, intention, emotion, and all of a sudden things appear physically. They get brought into your life physically. How? The how is God's job. That's not your job. Your job is not how. Your job is what, and your job is why. What do I want and why do I want it? And hopefully your why benefits someone else other than yourself. It can benefit yourself, but it should benefit others, and it will come quicker. Because that's the way we're engineered. Now, you have a reticular activating system in your brainstem. What is that? It's a filter. Your reticular activating system, look it up. It's a filter. It will filter out the things you're not focused on when you focus. So when you focus on something, it will show you more of that. Have you ever been interested in a certain kind of car? and then maybe it's a blue one or a red one. Maybe it's a certain model, a certain make. And you go, wow, I wish I had that car. That car is so cool. And then you start to see more of them on the road. And you go, wow, I never knew there were so many of this kind of car. That's your reticular activating system working. Because you're focused on that thing, whatever it is, doesn't have to be a car, it could be anything. Because you're focused on that thing, your reticular activating system will show you more of it and filter out the nonsense that you're not interested in. This is why when you watch a movie, okay, you can watch the same movie 10 times, and every time you'll notice something different in the movie. How does that happen? Human beings are amazing. It's an amazing blessing to be this one. It's an amazing blessing to be a human being. But when you discover this power, when you discover this magic, it's not magic like voodoo or witchcraft. Although if it makes you feel good, you can make up incantations and you can, do rituals if you want to. But the magic is that you are a co-creator with the superconscious. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. If you keep thinking the thought, it goes into your subconscious. Your subconscious takes you in baby steps to your goal with the help of the superconscious. You can plan those steps all you want, but planning is not even necessary. You don't have to figure out how you're going to do it. That's where everybody gets stuck. They get stuck on how. I have a client right now that I'm trying to work it out with him because he's too focused on the how. And the how is paralyzing him. How does the how paralyze you? Well, maybe you're doing something, or you're marketing something, or you're selling something, and you can't quite figure out how you're going to get the most sales. You don't need to figure out how. That's not your job. Your job is to figure out what it is I'm going to sell. Why? Why am I selling this? What good is it going to do for humanity, or myself, or my family, or whoever? That's your job. The how is God's job, or higher intelligence's job, or infinite intelligence's job, or the superconscious or consciousness. However you want to say that. Jesus Christ, Allah. The how belongs to them. You ever made a plan and you go, okay, I got 5 steps to this plan right here, and on the 5th step I will accomplish this goal, right? You get to step number 1, okay, step number 2, okay, step number 3, and then you get taken out to right field and you get your goal and you go, wow, I got what I wanted, but I didn't even finish my steps. So why do you plan so meticulously? Because you've been conditioned to believe that you need to do this, that you're responsible for this, that you're the one that's making this happen. When in actuality, it's your subconscious and superconscious working. The how is God's job. Is God real? Yeah, God's real. God's very real. But God lives in here. The kingdom is within. Nothing is out there. Just nature and things from someone else's in here. That's all that's out there. So the law of vibration says that if your vibration is like this with something else or someone else, it's guaranteed. If it's like this, and it doesn't grow like this, it's going to grow like this. And that's why when you raise your vibration, you won't even see the same people in the shopping center anymore. You ever did that? Have you been aware enough to recognize that when your vibration has raised, you don't even run into the same people anymore? You don't even see the same thing. You live on the same island. You live on the same block. You live in the same city. You live on the same continent. But everything has changed. It's because this has changed. This doesn't change. This changes. The fastest way to make everything out here change is to change this one. That's the way it works. Because everything out there responds to everything in here. Thank you, Leo. Good morning. Aura, good morning. So when you're focused on raising your vibration, the only thing you need to do is focus on this one. That's it. The law of correspondence, the universal law of correspondence says everything out here will match everything in here. So if your vibration raises in here, everything out here raises. And now you're in a new vibration, and now you're enjoying new friends, and now you have new experiences, and now you have maybe a new job, maybe a new this, maybe a new house, maybe a new neighborhood. But you cannot stay in the same vibration or the same friend group or the same vibration if you raise your vibration. Like attracts like. So you can't keep the old vibration. And this is what personal growth is. It's raising your vibration. And when you raise your vibration, everything else changes. Why? Because everything out here reacts to everything in here. When this gets better, this gets better. A lot of people try to change the circumstances out here, and it doesn't work. Some things work, but they don't last. It's like when you're attracting money. You want money to stick, but money doesn't stick. Why? Because you try to affect the money out here and not in here. Money responds to this. Everything out here responds to this. You want to attract more sales? Make this better. You want to attract better opportunities? Make this better. How do you make this better? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Visualization. You also have to see yourself worthy. Visualization. If you stand in front of a mirror and tell yourself positive things about yourself, positive I ams, you raise your self-esteem. What happens when you raise your self-esteem? Your vibration raises. It's universal law. It's scientific. It has to happen. There is no limit to the positive spectrum. And what are we talking about? Well, if you talk about vibrations, right? If you talk about frequencies, at the very top there's love. This is the midpoint. At the very top there's love. At the very bottom there's fear. From love, you go love. On the way down, love, peace, gratitude, joy, passion, excitement, enthusiasm, hope, and satisfaction is the midpoint. So satisfaction is the very first positive vibration. Do you have to automatically switch to joy? No, you can be satisfied. If you're satisfied, express gratitude. What about the low side? Well, from the least to the worst, right? The worst being fear, it's all the way down here. The first one is worry. When you're worried, you're praying for something bad to happen. You're asking for it, you're begging for it, because you're giving it energy. You're thinking about it over and over and over. You know, for my Christians out there, read Job, the book of Job. What I fear falls upon me. What's that? What's that metaphor? What's that lesson? It's bringing something into your world when you engage. You're engaged with it. You're engaged with the thought. If it's a negative thought, if it's worry, you will bring it into reality or a similar circumstance just by giving it energy. Because whatever you pay attention to, paying attention, you're paying your energy, you're giving attention to something. Now, you intensify it. You make it worse or better depending on what you're thinking. But if you're worrying, it's a negative vibration. Worry starts at 200 hertz. And then you go down. Worry, irritation, disappointment, criticism, anger, hate, boredom, envy, despair, grief, guilt, shame, and fear at the bottom. And all of these emotions, starting from worry all the way down to fear, are rooted in fear. It's all a part of fear. These are different versions of fear. So if you can keep a human being worried, guess what? You push them off their life path. When your life path is unfolding for you like this, okay, and you start to worry, it slows down. Why? Because now you're preoccupied with another thought or a negative thought. So you're preoccupied, so it begins to slow down. Because why? Now you're second guessing yourself. You're worried. You're distracted. What happens when it goes away? You start to go back again, and it starts to unfold for you. And things smoothen out. Things become easy or easier. Why? Because everything unfolds for you from the inside, not on the outside. If you're living a reactionary life, then that means you're just waiting for something to happen, and now you're going to react to it. Oh, let's see what happens today. Life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. If you're thinking life happens to you, you're living a reactionary life because you're waiting for something to happen. Let's see what happens today. And then you're going to react to it. If something bad happens, you're going to react negatively. If something good happens, you're going to react positively. If you use one of these, okay, so affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization, now you're bringing things into your world intentionally. Now you have provided focus for your mind, your subconscious mind. Now your subconscious mind understands. It learns in repetition, so you have to do all four pillars. Now it's learned in repetition. Now it has the program. Now it communicates with the superconscious. And the superconscious provides the how. The how is God's job. The right people come into play. Maybe you want to work at the electric company. And then you go to a party and you meet somebody and he works at the electric company. Coincidence? You can live your life out of coincidence and happenstance and randomness, or you can live from purpose And you can plan this and you can make it go where you want to. Because when you're living from purpose, you have a rudder on the boat, and now the boat has direction. If you don't have a rudder on your boat goes like this. Let's see what happens today. Okay, oh, something bad happened, push us over here. Oh, something good happened, push us over here. Oh, something bad happened, push you over there. And all you have to do really, all you have to do really is just work on these. These are affirmations. These are affirmations. So, just intentionally design your life. These are all affirmations. Okay? They're all affirmations. But when you intentionally design your life, the good things happen and you go, wow. This happened. This actually turned out. It didn't turn out the way you wanted, but it turned out. Why? Because the how is God's job. And God is very real. And that intuitive thought that you're getting is relative to your vibration. So as your vibration increases, and we're talking about vibration today, okay? It's a universal law, the universal law of vibration. As your vibration increases, the intuitive thought matches the vibration. So if you're in a very low vibration, maybe the thought is, hey, let's go rob the liquor store. Maybe that's your intuitive thought. But on a higher level, for a higher purpose, or let's say for a greater good, or a better vibration, maybe the intuitive thought is, why don't we start a 501c3 for a charity? And let's take care of some poor people. Let's take care of some street people. Let's do something for the community. That kind of thing. So it depends on what vibration you're on. And if you notice that your significant other is not on your vibration, then you need to fix it. Or you will be getting a different significant other. Because different vibrations cannot hang. Eventually, they get farther and farther apart. So, your vibration is very important. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, it all points back to the same thing. Nothing new has been invented. There is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. That's it. And the superconscious, depending on how you believe, is God. And it's always important to have a good vibration. And it's always important to allow thoughts and emotions to pass if you don't want to engage with them. Okay, just let it pass. Just like, oh, there it goes. I'm just going to let it go. Oh, there's another one. Just going to let it go. Not going to engage. Become the observer. Meditation is observing. And as you observe, as you allow, life gets easier. Are there still challenges? Of course. Everybody, me, challenge all the time. Is there failure? Yep. I fail all the time. Failure is a part of success. It's necessary. You need to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. When you're afraid to fail, it's the life path again like this. When you're afraid to fail, fear, okay, that's the bottom, fear, it slows you down like this. Afraid to fail, cannot move, cannot move, cannot move. Take away the fear, starts moving again. Because God is real. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye to Ara and Leo and Zaid. Zaid, thank you for joining us. We want to say aloha from Hawaii, and we'll see you guys. Fertility Doctor, good morning. And we'll see you guys tomorrow at the same time, okay? So we will see you at 7 a.m. Hawaii time on TikTok, on YouTube, Trovo in Europe, on Twitch, and also